Good morning, everybody. It's Vicky, 5B Gardener. I'm gonna do another tour, even though it's only been a handful of days since I did a last one. My last video sucked. I started at this angle, and then I turned my camera to make it horizontal, and for some reason it is like upside down on the video. I'm just not very good with technology, but anyway, things are looking really pretty. I've got another beautiful overcast day, so I just thought I would do another video because the last one was terrible. People probably didn't even watch it, and you know, this one will be a little easier to watch. Plus, there are some new blooms that are happening. So we got several alliums that are starting to open up, looking really pretty. I just watered a little bit. I planted some wave petunias right here. I don't typically plant annuals at all. In fact, aside from like seeds that reseed every year, I never plant annuals. So this is literally the first annuals that I've ever purchased for the, purpose of putting them in my garden. But the reason that I did is because they are pretty, and they do bloom all summer. So that's the nice thing about them, but they're also going to get really big, and I'm trying to get something that will carry over the side of my edging here to just make it less of an eyesore. So once those fill out, I think they're going to be really pretty right there. And yeah, that's why I bought those. Got some more alliums here. My lovely little sedum, growing so fast and filling up that little terrace and starting to spill over the side, which is exactly what I wanted it to do. In fact, I didn't plan on moving that down here, but some has started dropping down and growing on this level as well. And I think I'm just gonna let it. I really like the way that it looks growing in between the other plants and spilling over the edge. So at least for now, I'm just gonna let it continue spreading down there. Over here, we've got the Coleraine Red Monarda. Doesn't have any blooms yet, but that will eventually get quite tall and have blooms. Behind that, we've got a really pretty, God, what is it? I can never remember plant names. Okay, I know I've said it in other videos, but I can't for some reason remember right now what that one is called. But that silvery plant is getting some blooms on it as well. And I've never seen it bloom before, so I don't know if those open up purple or white or if they just stay silver. I don't really know what to expect from that, so that's kind of cool. My irises are just looking gorgeous. I have multiple other irises in other parts of my yard that have not bloomed yet, so are not even really sent up stalks. So I guess these are just way ahead because they are on a terrace and they're in full sun and they're up against a brick wall. I mean, all of those factors probably help it to be further ahead as far as making the soil warm and just all that stuff. Down here, lots of other perennials that are popping up but haven't started blooming yet. This is going to be a really nice hardy hibiscus with red flowers. That's why I put it next to the Coleraine Red. Well, they're actually kind of like a cherry red, like a pinky red. This is a Veronica. I can't remember what this is for some reason, but it seems to be getting some little buds on it, so maybe we'll find out shortly. I want to say this is Black-Eyed Susan because I remember planting 2 of them last year on this side and 2 down there, so we'll look at those. This one is Foxtrot Pennisetum grass. This is the orange ditch lily, looking a little bit shabby, but I did transplant those this spring. I kind of want to move this one and this one a little closer to that group. I've been trying to transplant all of my plants into bigger groups because I realized that having them dotted throughout is just messy looking, and if I plant bigger groups of things, it just looks more pretty and organized. Even though it's the same exact plants, they're just in groups. Back here I have 1, 2, 3, 4 Stand By Me clematis. They're kind of a bluish purple bloom when they do come out, and those are their little heads at the top there, so they're gonna bloom here pretty soon and they'll be very pretty. I've got a really nice columbine, still pretty small. I just planted that last year. This guy, I can never remember what this is called, but it's just like a ground cover. It gets cute little white flowers on it. I want to say maybe cotton Easter. Okay, definitely star of the show right now, my lupin. As I mentioned in my previous videos, I've been waiting for this thing to bloom for like 3 years. I didn't even know what color it was. So this is the first time I've seen it, and I am not disappointed. That's a beautiful color. And I planted some more seedlings back here about a week ago. So hopefully I can get a little grouping of lupin coming up. So I don't know where the rest of them are, but I did plant multiple seedlings back there so that we'll have some more lupin in this area in future years. But we'll be waiting for like 3 years to see what color they are. Here's some yarrow. All of the yarrow in this terrace, there's some right down here that I didn't mention. Let's go back real quick. Right here. And then this whole stand. And then I've got a big one down there. Let's look at that real quick. Look at this huge clump. It's so big. I feel like I need to divide this already. But I just planted all of that yarrow last year. It was nowhere near that big. And apparently it's going to get much taller than I thought. So I might be moving that to the back a little bit. I don't know. We'll see how it does this year. But I love the yarrow. I love the green foliage. It's very like soft and ferny. And then they just get these really pretty kind of flat flower heads that I really like. I've got pink, red, kind of a soft yellow, and I think white so far. Behind this, I've got some salvia here, here, and another one there. Just kind of growing into the yarrow, and one here as well. And so I plan to transplant those probably in the next week. I'll get that done. I wasn't sure if they were all the same color, and I'm trying to transplant things that are all the same color into a group together. So I was waiting for those blooms to kind of set so I could see, you know, what they were. And now that I know, I'm gonna find a place to group them all together. So that's the plan with that. Got a bunch of sedums in the front. Last video I was really struggling. I was like, are these called sedums? I couldn't remember. Yeah, pretty sure that's what they are called. But these were eaten by deer very early spring. You can kind of see how short this one is. And this one was totally mowed down, but they are growing back nicely. Apparently the deer have better things to eat now, so they've stopped eating my sedums. This is a new addition. It's supposed to kind of trail over the edge, so I planted it right on the edge there. Same with these. These I planted last year. I don't remember the name of them, like Red Dragon or something, but they should grow over the edge eventually. Those are Stachyhumolo. They're a type of lamb's ear that get pinky purple flowers. I couldn't remember the name of those in my last video either, but that's what those are. I've got a little grouping of ham elm grasses that once these grow and fill in, they'll just kind of be like a little arched hedge right there. This is another type of, oh my gosh. Well, look, I have a tag here. Artemisia, that's what it is. This is another type of Artemisia called David's Choice. And, hang on. No, I can't get it back in there. David's Choice Artemisia right there. And then that silver one down there that I couldn't remember the name of, that's a different type of Artemisia. I love that plant. I've got several of them because I just really like the silver color that it adds to the garden. Planted next to my wave petunias is some vinca. This is a stand of purple salvia that I grouped all together this spring. And I think these are my other two brown-eyed Susans that I mentioned. Not this bulb, whatever that is, but the foliage around it. That's a pincushion. I don't remember again. Maybe that's like a dianthus or Maybe it's a, what are those yellow ones? I get like a, I don't know. Sorry, guys. There is a dianthus back here that gets pretty tall. That one. And then I have some delphinium planted back there. That does get very tall. I'm talking like 4 or 5 feet tall. There's some sort of daylilies or Asiatic lilies planted right there. Another hardy hibiscus. This one gets pink flowers. I've got that planted in front of this wild type Monarda / bergamot. Another wave petunia planted next to some vinca. And then my little cactuses all putting on little babies. I need to get in here and do a little bit of weeding. This is a geranium. This one is Crystal Lake. If I remember correctly, this one is like a very, very light purple with like deeper veining, colored veining. I thought it was very pretty. Over here I have some, oh look, another Artemisia. Got one of these. And then this is oregano. I planted some of this kind of out of curiosity last year. I also have some garden sage down at that end that I really like. And I just love it. I don't want my garden to be completely full of flowers. Like I want expanses of just green. And so I do think they flower at some point, but just having that kind of a ground covery space, filling that in with that green foliage I really like. And then we've got our lamb's ear here on this side as well, matching the other end where I also have lamb's ear, and I have the wave petunias and the vinca, kind of the same thing. Now, I have promised myself, and maybe I'll even do it today, I've got to get these chopped down on both sides of here. And then I decided what I want to do to plant in its place. I'm going to put down, after I chop these down, I'm probably going to put down maybe like 4 inches of some sort of compost or, soil compost mix, just to put something on top of the stumps and the roots and all that. And then I'm going to put 4 o'clocks. I've got a huge bag of 4 o'clock seeds that one of my friends from work gave me. And then hers are just like all different colors. And then I bought online some 4 o'clocks that have the multicolored per flower. So they're like striped and just multicolored, and they're really pretty. I used to have 4 o'clocks a long time ago, like 20 years ago when I lived in Arkansas, and I just love them so much. So I decided that's what's going in here, just a big clump of 4 o'clocks. And moving on over here, I've got my grape plant that's coming back from last year. I chopped it all down. I need to try to do it better. I didn't know what I was doing with attaching it up to my railing here and having it growing down. So I'm going to retry again this year and see if I can do a better job with it so it looks better. Right here is a yellow rose. And then that right there is, I think, part of this peony that I transplanted. I think I just missed a piece of root or something, and that's what that is. But it could also be a yellow Ito peony, because when I planted this yellow rose in here, I also planted 2 Ito peonies in the front, and I think they're further forward than that, so I don't think that's the yellow Ito, but it could be. Maybe I am misremembering. And then I did the same thing on this side. I have another grapevine that actually I don't think is going to make it. I cut it all the way back, and it doesn't seem to have any green growth or anything, but that's fine. I have another one up here, so I'll just train this one up. Over here I have another yellow rose, and again I planted 2 Ito peonies in front of it. Oh, and then I forgot to mention behind it I planted some iris. They are Miss Saigon. They're like a purple and yellow. Got some peonies here that look like they're going to be blossoming in the next couple weeks. If I remember, these are red. No, these are white. And then these ones over here are a pink, but their little bloom heads are much, much smaller. So we're going to be waiting longer for those. This is my little blueberry shrub with some creeping jenny planted around it. I have another blueberry down here that's a different type so that they can cross-pollinate each other well. And then this plant over here is a native that I just planted last September, and it's called New Jersey tea. On this side I have the exact same configuration. I've got a little blueberry that I just planted. Very sad little 1 or 2 leaves on it, but hopefully it, gets going. This one is another blueberry, same as the other potted one, and I've got some creeping jenny in here. And again, the New Jersey tea native plant. So that's it for the terraces. Oh, actually, I didn't tell you about the second one. Hang on. I do have some cool stuff going on down there. It's always fun trying to walk down here without falling. I'm planning to build in a little bit of a stair system right along here, going down. But that sounds hard, so who knows when I'll get to it. Okay, I'm gonna look this way. And the trash truck is coming, so it's gonna be loud, sorry. Got some Russian sage. I have like 7 clumps of that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, I believe. Right here I planted some, crap, I already forgot what they're called, but there's some seedlings planted here, and this is a native, that's a native. I'm just gonna pause for this truck. Okay, the truck is mostly past. Hyssop, that's what I planted here, some little seedlings of hyssop. And I don't think they're gonna all make it, but as long as, 4 or 5 make it, it'll be fine. And I think that also might be what that is. That's why I planted them in this general area. That's some kind of clover that keeps growing back every year. It gets really pretty flowers, so I've just left it. It's got some astilbe here. Another patch of the orange ditch lily along there. Lost my train of thought. I have a little rose here that has been struggling the past couple of years ever since I bought it, and I think it's because it just, where I first planted it didn't have a lot of sun. Then I transplanted it here, and then it gets swallowed up by grass and weeds. And every year I make more and more progress on getting these grass and weeds kind of beaten back and, filling in that space with ground covers or, mulch or whatever. So I'm hoping that this year we really get to see it bloom, and I can see it has a little bloom there, and it appears to be orange. So, but it's not looking the best. It looks a little dried out, which is weird because we've been getting a lot of rain. I don't remember what this is called. Okay, now the recycling truck is coming. I'm gonna pause again. Okay. Well, the sun came out while we were waiting. Look at this beautiful Sweet William. It is so bright. It's just the most vibrant, beautiful color in person. I hope it's coming across on the phone. Behind that, I have some goldenrod. I've got some clumps of coneflower, purple coneflower here, there. This is another rose. This one I think is a pink drift rose. There's a bunch of stuff popping up here that I'm not sure if it's that pokeweed or if this is a seedling of something that I've grown. So I'm just leaving it for now, but I have a feeling I'm going to end up pulling that because it's popping up all over the place. Got some more pretty salvia. My irises up close, looking beautiful. There's some more. And a close-up of, what was it? My God, why can't I remember this today? This is a weed. This plant, Artemisia. to say it over and over again. And here's one of those bindweed things. Okay. Look at those peonies about to burst open. It's gonna be my first ones of the season. Okay, I'm gonna pause while I climb back up to the top here. Right. So now we are on the very top terrace, and this is where my rose garden is planted. And this is exciting because I'm starting to see some very tiny little buds coming onto our roses here. These were just planted last fall. So I'm not going to go over the names of them and stuff until I start getting flowers, because honestly I don't remember, and I do have tags, but they're kind of buried under the mulch. So I'm ordering some like little nameplates online that I'm going to put in front of each rose, and once I get those I'll go through the trouble of figuring out which one is which. There's a tag. We can look at this one. It's called Star of Republic. This one, I think it's kind of like a creamy, yellowy, peachy, if I remember correctly. Star of Republic. My lilac is in bloom over here. This one is, I think it's called Lil Kim or Miss Kim, something like that. I don't remember the variety, but this is also a lilac, and this one, I don't see any buds on it this year. So I guess maybe next year. Yeah, I'm thinking it's going to be one more year before we get flowers on this one. So this bed, I talked about it before, but I'm going to be expanding it. Well, I'm going to be changing the shape of it. So what I want is to have this look like a path that comes down through here, and expand the bed out like that, so that it's not, I want it to be more like this. This one just swoops around, and that's what I want this side to do as well. So eventually I'm going to be expanding this bed out and having it swoop around. I'm going to skip over that stuff. I've talked about this in every video, everything that's planted in there. Nothing is blooming or any of that right now. Pretty much same with this area. I don't see anything in bloom. Although my roses over here are starting to get some little buds on them. These are a climbing rose. They are, I think they're Pretty in Pink Eden, if I remember correctly. This one is the same as that one. And then I have 3 roses in here. One there, and one there. Again, we'll go over the names in the future once they start getting blooms. There's some Oriental and Asiatic lilies there. This is my little Astilbe bed. And then I've got a sweet autumn clematis right there that my kind neighbor across the street gave me a cutting from hers. I'm planning to this year get this log cut up. I'm thinking about just keeping some of it sections and either using it as like little informal seating areas in my garden, or I might just move some of this log over to the front of this top terrace and just lay it there. And then the reason I want to do that is because it'll be in full sun, and if you drill holes into it with a certain size drill, bees will naturally make little, bee homes in there. And so I thought that might be a useful way to use up that wood. Got another piece here that I need to move. The only reason that these are still here is because last year my tree lost a huge limb, and it is so heavy that I can't move it. So I've got to chop it up smaller before that can happen. This is a hydrangea. I want to say it's Let's Dance Can Do. So it's a big leaf macrophylla. Probably won't bloom till later in the year because it did die back to the ground. So all of the old wood is gone. It will only bloom on new wood later in the season. Because of the zone that I live in, that's pretty much what I have to do with macrophyllas. They've got to be the type that blooms on new wood, or I need to like keep them potted and put them in the garage over winter or something like that. Got some various hostas in here. This is a penstemon, putting on some really nice growth. Just planted this last September. I like that it has kind of a blue foliage too. And my hostas. Let's take a peek at my clematis. I have my Samaritan Joe clematis back there, and this is its third year, so I'm expecting a lot of growth out of it this year. And I can already see that it has lots of blooms that are going to be happening. All these little white pocket-looking things. It has a white flower with like a purple lining around the very edge of it. It's very pretty. This is another clematis that I planted, I think. This one is just like a solid purple, but I just planted that this spring. Have a allium that has popped up in front of my lemony lace elderberry. That is a big penstemon there. I think that one is called Mystic Magic, I don't know, something like that. Some more hostas. My Aurelia Sun King, really popping out of the ground now. Just maybe a week ago it was like barely any leaves out of the ground. And look how big it is now. These grow really fast. This is a, what do you call it? Jacob's Ladder. It's a native in my area, I think. And then I've got, I believe that back there is a delphinium and some iris and bearded iris. Got a couple hellebores here that I just planted in the spring. It's my hydrangea garden. They're all still kind of small, leafing out. I don't have any blooms yet, so I'm probably gonna speed past this area. Look, my smoke bush is starting to come in. It's growing fast. It's had hardly any leaves a few weeks ago. I've been debating on if I should cut off this tall stem, but I guess this would be like its leader. And even though it has hardly any leaf on it, it does have some. But you see that damage? I think a deer ate part of it, and that's why it's looking like that. This is a Rose of Sharon. It gets tall and narrow, and it will have white flowers. This is my new shrub that I just love so much. It is a terrace japonica. I think that's how you say it. So the new growth is this red color. It has variegated foliage. It has the prettiest pink, not pink, white flowers in very, very early spring. It's one of the first things to bloom. And then in the fall, can you see that burgundy on the leaf? I believe in the fall the leaves turn that burgundy color. So it's really like a 4-season shrub, I think. I don't know what it looks like in winter. Maybe it loses all of its foliage in winter, but still, very nice shrub. And I've got another one of them over here. These should get about, I think, 4 to 5 feet tall and wide. Another hydrangea. This one's a panicle, so it doesn't bloom until later in the year, but it's getting lots of nice brush on it. Leaves on it. And then this rose is my Zephyrin Druin climbing rose. I gotta get it a lattice to grow against. Yeah, I don't see any buds on this one yet, but I'm sure it's going to, because look at how big it is. And even my little baby roses up front are getting buds, so maybe this one just blooms a little bit later. But very cool. Okay. Yeah, So I just have hydrangeas lining this bottom part of this terrace. And then up toward the back, I have what I call my hedgerow, which is this various different shrubs. In the middle here, I'm planning, there will be more hydrangeas planted in front of the back shrub row, but I'm also planting some things in here like taller flowers, and I just want it to be kind of like a meadow in here eventually. I just covered all of this grass up last fall. So it's, you know, it's very, very new. It's in progress. My grass is really long and I just mowed it like less than a week ago. Okay, all of my tulips are starting to go over there in this bed, so I'll probably cut down those stems soon. I also had some daffodils in there, and those are also gone. But I've got hostas. This tree in the middle is something that I planted from like a seedling that I found in my yard, and I'm 99% sure it's one of those trees up there, which I think are really pretty. And I just decided to plant it here, so that's kind of cool. I'm going to pause for a minute while I move to the backyard. Alright, and then the last part of my yard to see is the bog garden / hot garden, which runs along this small side yard that I have. And right now I have some ferns popping up. We've got my white bleeding heart plant there. I just planted that a few weeks ago, maybe 2 weeks ago. These are gladiolas. They're like a blood red color. This is a geum, more fern. This is a huge columbine canadensis, I think it's called. It's just like the native type. And then I've got this huge bed of sedum that I've been growing for the past couple years, and I want it to fill up this whole river and just be, you know, the ground cover that grows underneath and in between all the plants that I plant in here. This grass in the middle is called foxtrot pennisetum, and there is a smaller one off to the right. I've explained this before, but it's because when I planted this, although I planted it dead center, the sun, I mean, that direction is south, so the grass was kind of growing toward that way, and it was making it look like it wasn't centered. So I added another small clump of that grass over here, and when the grass all grows and fills in, it does look like one large clump, and it does fill in that space. And believe it or not, it gets almost as tall as that little wall art that I have there. I just planted some creeping jenny in here this spring. That's a new addition. I had other stuff planted there before, but the grass was kind of, you know, like interfering, and it wasn't getting enough sun, and, you know, it just wasn't working out. So I decided to put some creeping jenny there, and it can grow in amongst where the grass is not shading it out, and I think that'll look really nice. It's a nice contrasting color. Over here is the end of the bog garden river, and I've got like this tall grass that comes back every year, and that's most of this. Really is just all this grass, and it gets really tall, probably like 6 to 8 feet tall. This is, I think, called a willow sage, and it almost died on me last year. I think where I had it, it wasn't getting enough water. I moved it to this spot, and it has seemed so much happier. So I'm hoping this year that it really fills in. Like, it's kind of looking scraggly, but I mean, honestly, it was almost dead last summer. So for it to come back looking like this in spring, I'm very happy with it. These are some Anemone virginiana. I'm proud of myself for remembering that. I've got 2 of those, and then I have one more down at the end that I will show you. I'm planning to transplant all 3 of those somewhere else, so they're just temporarily there. This whole spot right here I'm going to have to rework because I planted a bunch of red canna bulbs here. I don't know what happened, but none of them are coming up. I guess it could possibly be that they're just waiting for it to be warmer. I mean, we're still in like the 40s at night, so it's not like the ground is probably super warm yet, but I have cannas elsewhere that are popping up, so it just makes me concerned that they're not going to grow. In this area, I've got some lilies, daylilies. Just don't mind all these weeds. Ooh, look, a nice snake. Did you see him? Hey there, little Mr. Snake. I'm not gonna hurt you. Okay, so here's the cannas I was telling you about. I got one here, and another one there. Those 3 are popping up. I did plant 2 more where these sticks are. That's what the sticks are here for, is to remind me that I did that, and they are not popping up yet. So, I don't know. And then there's more lilies planted over here. These jugs are from my winter sowing. Oh no, what happened here? I bet you a squirrel. I have a lot of squirrels, and they are always digging in my yard. So yeah, this sort of thing happens a lot. These are purple coneflower, more purple coneflower. They didn't really have the highest germination rate, surprisingly. Joe Pye, I got none of those. Pepperbox poppies, just a couple. My most successful germination by far was my foxgloves, which makes me happy because I planted more foxgloves than I did anything else, because I really love foxgloves, and they are biennial. Oh, that one's swamp milkweed. So here's that other anemone, not canadensis, anemone virginiana. That's the 3rd one. I planted some butterfly weed here, 2 different kinds, and they have not come up. I planted them in September last year. They weren't looking great when I planted them. I think they just didn't winter over. And plus, you can see that this only gets dappled sun, so it wasn't a great place to plant them anyway. But honestly, I bought a bunch of plants in September of last year because there was this huge sale on native plants. And I didn't really know where I was going to put them, and I just kind of planted them. Are you the same one or a different one? Look, here's another garter snake. Do you see him? He's slithering away. I'm not afraid of snakes, so it doesn't bother me, but anyway, lost my train of thought. I bought a bunch of native plants last September, and I just kind of threw them in the ground because I knew they needed to get roots established before winter, and yet, some of them were not planted in the best place, so I'm gonna have to do some rearranging, but I would say most of them came back. All right, well, that pretty much wraps up the tour, guys. Thank you, whoever watched, and please like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.